Hello and welcome everyone. We're Team Dunder Mifflin, and we're here to present our global strategy for the glove company. I'm Ronak.
I'm John.
I'm Anushka.
And I'm Hugh.
So to begin, we'll take a brief look at our agenda, where we'll begin with a company overview. We'll take a look at the problem that Glove is currently facing. We'll look at the consumer acquisition model that we've created, as well as our global consumer relation management system. We'll take a look at the financials behind some of these ideas, and we'll go over our conclusion. So the company was founded by Monika Zaskva. Their annual revenue is $10 million PLN, Polish PLN, excuse me. The value exceeded $20 million PLN, excuse me, in Polish currency. And currently, Glove is available in over 40 different countries. And right now, the company is looking to focus on its e-commerce and expanding that. But there are three primary problems that they're currently facing. Firstly, Glove is having a lot of difficulty in taking its commerce on its internet platforms and being able to actually provide them to consumers. And it's because Glove has been unable to make consumers aware of the products and services and who they actually are. Alongside this, they've been unable to really build a lot of these relationships online and be able to market themselves. And so because of this, we want to be able to find a new strategy, and John is going to go ahead and talk a little bit about that.
So in order to build a global brand, I think we need to start with a global strategy. And fundamentally, we think the first and most important thing before we start talking about anything else is how to get a first-time customer, someone who's never actually bought a glove before. And the reason why is because in this industry, people aren't going online and buying things for the first time. 82% of all the sales are in retail, which means that people, when they're buying makeup and beauty products, aren't going online and just buying random things they see that look cool. They see things in the stores, and then they buy them. In order to actually make the e-commerce side of this profitable, we need to first get customers in stores, and then we need to, second, encourage those first-time customers to make a second purchase, and then we need to convert those temporary customers into loyal customers. Hugh's going to tell us exactly how we're going to do that.
Okay, thank you, John. Before I go into our execution plan, I want to preface this by reiterating something that my colleagues have already said. Glove does have partnerships with global as well as local retailers, and they do have partnership with Amazon. So the case at hand is not about generating more sales for Glove. It's more about generating more the market presence amongst the beauty product users. So in order to do that, we've come up with three initiatives. We will develop a marketing plan for airports, influencers, as well as through our activism initiative. Why airports? The reason is that airports has some of the most highest foot traffic, and people who go to airports don't have a lot of things to do there. So the boredom will drive the demand for them to look for more things to do at airports, and through our demonstrations initiatives, we'll have customers to actually use the products right there at the airport to create that first traction that my colleague John has already said. But again, the important thing is to create a relationship between the product and the user. And in order to do that, we use influencers. We try to build a community surrounding the products by having the influencers actually use the product through social media. And so when users like us and followers like us see the influencers use those products, we'll be more attracted to use those kind of products. And finally, through our activism initiative, we want to emphasize an environmental problem by offering an innovative and eco-friendly product that is Glove. And John, why should we go into airports?
Well, me and my teammates have some extensive experience with waiting in airports and trying to figure out the art of having a manageable time there. We got delayed 7 hours on our flight to this competition, and we explored a lot. And we found that it's really, really cheap and easy to open up kiosks in airports and sell and advertise products using them. More importantly, when we offer these kiosks, we're going to be offering demonstrations, specifically showing off how good Glove is, and selling products. Our most expensive product in our line is the travel package, which we think is incredibly perfect. But the important question we got to ask now is, what makes airports so good at getting first-time buyers as opposed to just any other retail store? In other retail stores, Glove isn't anything special. It's just along the line with all the other beauty cleaners that other people use. But Anushka has some experience with something like confiscation in airports.
When we were going through security at the airport, they actually took away my makeup removal cream. So what did I do? I went to one of the shops in the airport and I bought some new makeup remover.
Anushka's not alone. 73% of all women at some point have had beauty product confiscated when coming through security, and every week, up to $11.5 million of beauty products are confiscated at airports across the world. That sounds like a monthly statistic or maybe even a yearly statistic, but every single week, people are losing that much money getting stuff taken away. Now imagine if you're Anushka and you've just gone through airport security, you're tired because we got up for an early flight, little do we know it would get delayed later, and you go through security only to note that the guy isn't giving back your bag. He's searching through it and he's taking away all your beauty remover. You come out, you're incredibly mad, and what do you see? You see glove. And how are we marketing it? As something that can never be taken away from the airport because you don't need any moisturizer, you don't need anything of any ounces. All you need is the glove and water. And we think that we're essentially creating urgency. It's supply and demand. And this offers us a really unique opportunity to actually market to people who we otherwise wouldn't have access to. Now, Anushka is going to tell us how we can build upon this and use influencers to create a community around our product.
Thanks, John. With Glove being present in over 40 countries, it would take a very effective marketing strategy for them to cater to the market. It would take a lot of research and development for them to have an effective marketing strategy, including catering to specific demographics within each country, as well as adapting to different trends within those countries. YouTubers are relatable, they are intuitive to adapting to different trends, and they cater to a very specific target market. What we propose is using Europe and America as two of our two markets that we're breaking into, and using popular YouTubers within these markets, namely James Franco and Ellie Thuman in America, and Phoenix Renata and Zoella in European and UK markets. So using these YouTubers would be good because in the long run, YouTube has actually been more sustainable than Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, or even TikTok for that fact. Not only are people able to see how the product is used, but they're also able to drive traffic to the YouTube platform for Glove specifically. Glove only has 207 subscribers currently, and all of their videos are in Polish too. Creating a global brand means that all social media platforms should be reflecting this part of your image, which is why we think if this is successful, we would also adapt it to different countries in the long run. I'm now going to pass it back to John to speak about activism.
So we've gotten the first-time customer. We're trying to create a community of people who are going to be subscribing to YouTubers, who are watching them and getting information from them. But how do we make people feel good about their purchases? Other than having, a product that they use every day, there's a lot more to it. Currently, makeup cleaners are incredibly problematic for the environment, and there are tons of studies coming out about it. Every component of it is bad. The bottles that you use that hold the makeup cleanser, super bad for the environment. That makeup cleanser is not biodegradable, so when you wash it down the drain, it goes right into the ocean, super bad. All of the wipes that people use, hundreds of them for a couple of months. Meanwhile, a glove, you use one for 3 months. Why is this important? Let's say you don't even care about the environment, you don't want to help out. Just from a profit perspective, 65% of millennials say they'd be willing to pay extra money just for something that's environmentally friendly in comparison to its competitors. And 73% of all consumers look into specifically the environmental impact of the products they use within the beauty industry. That statistic is in general. That statistic was from a study specifically regarding the beauty industry. And the reason why that's important is if we market our product as solving a problem that a lot of people don't actually know exists, and we spread the word about that, we can draw a lot of the market towards us. But more importantly than that is once we've gotten that first customer and that second customer, people feel good when they feel like they're doing something that's good for the world, and that makes them a lot more likely to keep buying the product, other than that it's a great product. Now, let's move on to our customer management. So once we've gotten all of these customers, how are we going to, all these customers all over the world, how are we going to actually keep them and treat them properly and utilize the data that they can potentially give us to make our brand even better? Before we get into specifically what our strategy is, I just want to talk briefly about discrete versus relational transactions. Discrete transactions are, just random transactions like Anushka walking out of security and buying something because she needs it, right? She didn't premeditate it. She didn't think about it. Relational transactions are the type of transactions that happen online. When you have a relationship with a producer and you say, oh, I buy from this producer, so you start buying from them online because it's convenient to you. In order to actually make our e-commerce successful, we need to turn all the discrete transactions that usually happen in the beauty industry into relational transactions. And we're going to do that with 3 steps. First is going to be awareness and creating the marketing that we've already talked about. Second is going to be exploring that helping to explore all of the data we're going to get. And third is by getting people to commit to our brand through the previously stated things. Now, here's what we're going to do. So we're going to start to use consumer relationship management technology. It's essentially software that can aggregate tons of data and organize it in a really, really effective way. Right now, reviews that are coming online from the 40 countries that we are currently in are all packaged into one system, and there's no real efficient way to sort through that data. There's no way to get market information. Each comment that we're responding to, as the packet told us, the person has to literally go on Google Translate and translate it. In order to make this more efficient and compartmentalize all of the different review structures, we can use this technology. More importantly, the technology analyzes all of this data and can actually give us market-based conclusions off of it. And we can additionally connect it with our influencers, because all of the influencers we're using on YouTube are getting comments, are getting emails, are getting all of that stuff that's all really reliable data that companies usually don't actually have access to. This technology allows us to aggregate all that data and create, 1, really good data on cultural preferences, 2, compartmentalized and easy to see use Google reviews, which impacts increased efficiency in customer service, because all of our representatives don't have to sort through one gigantic thing to find information on one place. It's all organized. Now, Hugh and Anushka will tell us exactly how we're going to make all of this happen.
Right. So we're going to start off with 2 airports that they are Charles de Gaulle as well as Denver International Airports. The reason being is they have some of the most highest foot traffic volume that go into those airports annually. Using a scenario-based model as well as on a comparable basis, we were able to come up with some cost assumptions as well as how we were able to generate revenue from this model. And as you can see in 2020, which is the expected timeline for next year, where we actually roll out the plan, it's going to be a net negative cash flow. But looking into the future, that's where the profit's going to be. And to go into more details about our cost assumptions as well as how we actually came up with this number, we have this table right here. So as you can see, during the year 2020, we'll incur some operating expenses by spending on marketing, rental, as well as incurring some fixed one-time costs, which are legal and infrastructure fee. And Anushka can talk more about how we're actually paying the influencers.
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, we're going to be having a total of 4 YouTubers, 2 in Europe and 2 in America. On average, these YouTubers have about 500,000 views per video, and it costs on average $30 per 1,000 views. So using these numbers, it would be about $15,000 per year to be sponsoring the YouTubers. Also, we decided to send them each one of our products so that they can demonstrate the whole collection. And yeah, that's how we got to this number.
Think about it this way too, just not in the whole aggregate, but just individually per 1,000 views. We're paying $30 for 1,000 views. Even if only 5 people out of the 1,000 people that see the advertisement for our product buy it, and they only buy our cheapest product, which is 10 euros, we're still making money. And we don't give them the lump sum of money like a salary, we pay them per 1,000 views, which means if they don't actually get us the advertising that we set out to get, we don't actually have to pay them anything. So this money only actually gets paid out if we not only break even, but make profits.
And just to kind of touch on it a little bit, so this projection is for 2 airports, so you already see the profitable, and if the measurements come in correct, we'll be able to expand it to more airports in the future.
Certainly. So to conclude, we believe that these solutions are going to be excellent for making Glove an international company, both in retail and online. These are low-cost, low-risk, high-return strategies, and we thank you guys so much for your attention. We'd love to open the floor for questions and help you learn if you need anything else.
Okay, yeah, of course it is. I actually did get caught in the airport thing. And so it was Yeah, yeah, at Heathrow in London, and what I found was that they're very clever. They put boots in all over the terminals, and I use a boot product, but I have to get it through Amazon here, and I just walked into the store and bought out the place. So I think airports really are a very good idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, you hit a good one. And what I was very interested in was your focus on that almost to the exclusion of other things. I wished that I had heard a little bit more about e-commerce and how you would use that, because that would be a sort of a natural thing for you to explore. But I thought you did a very nice job of presenting your perspective.
Thank you. To address your point about e-commerce, we actually did a lot of research into this. And Glove already has partnerships with Amazon, with Alibaba, with really different third-party retailers. And it would be too expensive to have Glove set up a factory on its or manufacturing on its own, especially because it's in 40 different countries, and they're really doing everything that they can already. Well, the reason that we didn't address e-commerce specifically is because the problem isn't e-commerce for them. They're already present in e-commerce. It's acquiring the customers so that they can cater to them on the e-commerce platforms that they currently have.
Yeah, if I can just really briefly comment on that. You know, at the very beginning of the packet that we were handed out on this, it says 82% of all sales are in retail. And that's because people don't like to go online and just look for beauty products and buy them. They like to see them in person, see that they like them, buy them one time, use them, and then down the line, if it becomes an efficiency thing, they'll buy them online. The only way we're actually going to be able to, all our products are online, as Anushka said. What we need to do is we need to get that first customer, the first time customer, we need to get them to buy the product, like it. We need to tell them why they should keep liking it, bring them into our community, give them good customer service, and then the online sales we think will just roll in.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with that concept of trying to get that first customer. So that sort of reinforces the question is why limit it to just airport, and why not expand your strategy into kiosks in malls, kiosks wherever, college campuses, and really emphasize the fact that, you know, this is more environmentally friendly, it's better for your health, so on and so forth.
Yes.
So I'll start. As Hugh mentioned during his finance slide, this is just the first start of our kiosk business. We intend to expand it as it becomes more accessible. I mean, this isn't like the biggest company of all time. You know, it's got $10 million of yearly revenue, and we don't have, the case didn't give us a budget of what we could do. So we wanted to do an effective pilot plan to try and show that we can increase sales and revenue using this plan. And once we actually have proven it's successful, because there is financial risk in setting up kiosks, especially for a small boutique like this, that we want to make sure that happens. And even though all those other things are really great, we found that, or we would argue that airports are the most effective way because we're creating urgency, right? Because so many people get their beauty care products confiscated, we're creating a sense of demand, or we're putting the product in a case where it is demanded the most, we think.
Yes.
Just to build on that as well, there's a lot of groups that are like prescribing solutions which simply, while they would be amazing, on paper, in practice, it is simply difficult to be able to expand largely. So in the case, for example, Glacier was mentioned, they have always wanted to be an international brand. However, as they've started, it took them 4 years simply to move into Canada. And so to go into malls, to go into a lot of other locations, while it's something we obviously want to perform and do, it's not something that we can necessarily immediately do.
Yes, exactly. And because they have such an international presence, the idea is that we want to create that awareness in the international market. And airports are just the most effective way of doing it because, as John mentioned, there's a demand for it. Yeah.
Some of the questions I had, you guys asked, which was great. I'm curious if you can go to that one slide that talks about customer relations management, and if you can talk to it. You referred to a software, but I'm not clear on what. No.
Next slide.
Where you're getting feedback. Yeah. Is this a custom software, or this is existing software? How are you?
It is existing software. There are over 20 major firms that produce consumer relations management technology. and basically it's analytical software that is when you use it, you don't just use it on one computer on the CEOs. Basically, it's a system that is used for the entire company, and also we can give it to our influencers, and we can aggregate all of the data from all of the reviews on not just our website and our YouTube channel, but also the YouTube channels that we're going to be sponsoring. And does that answer your question, or do you want more from that?
Yeah, it's not proprietary software to the.
It is not proprietary, but it is the most efficient way to do it, especially for small companies, as opposed to hiring managers, hiring 40 employees, one for each of the different countries. We're a company of 20 employees, so it's not like super economically feasible to expand our staff that much. This is just the most efficient way, and lots of small boutique startups use this kind of thing.
And talk to me about the conversion. For example, you have a current base of customers, and I'm curious how you're enhancing that. So effectively, you talked about an acquisition and a retention via newly acquired and converting into retained. But what about your currently retained clients?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, could you?
I think I got it. So in terms of do you mean how do we keep our clients that we already have? Yeah. So we think after the whole airport thing, almost all of our presentation applies to current customers. They will equally benefit from this software. I mean, in the packet, it talked about how the CEO of the company was going through and having to Google Translate in order to answer reviews, right? This type of technology will make it so much easier to interact with the current customers we have now. And right now, the social media presence is incredibly lackluster. Like Anushka told us, our YouTube channel only has 207 subscribers, and all the videos are in Polish, which is one of the least common languages in the world. Meanwhile, we're in 40 countries and have tons of customers retail in all of them. So we think overhauling all of this will not just be good for getting new customers, but it'll be really helpful to people who use it. They'll see all of the things they're doing. They'll learn about the great impact they're having on the environment, and I feel like that'll be great for them as well.
To add on to that, we also decided that we were going to be sending emails to our consumers after they buy the first-time product. So we would just be doing the same with our current consumers. Yeah.
Thank you. I thought that the airport was a good idea, but I think it has to be combined with something else. I think the CRM software system is also a great idea, but it's incredibly expensive. We're currently going through implementation of something like that, and it will take 6 to 8 months of lead time just to implement. So on the 300,000 negative in the first year, that's kind of difficult. The other question I had was more around where you're accounting for the costs of the software, and secondly, I did some mental math of how many units do you have to sell every day at the airports, and I reached conclusion that somewhere between 500 and 1,000. So that's going to be a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
Sorry. Did you want to do it? I got it.
You got it.
Okay, so at the airport, the airport isn't just about sales in order to make money back, right? The whole point of the airport is not a sales strategy, it's a marketing strategy. It's about, even if we only get 200 sales at the airport, those people are now customers that weren't customers before, then the other strategies are meant to become repeat customers. So even though if we were just looking at airport sales, you're right, that would be incredibly difficult. We wouldn't break even, but this is part of a much larger plan to get long-term customers, and those long-term customers, that's why our finances come out profit, not in the immediate year, because we're not going to have immediate like huge sales increase in airports, but that's why our models project that we'll start seeing incredible profit second, third, fourth, fifth year, because that's when we developed a more substantial customer base.
So in all of these solutions, whether it's the social media presence, whether it's in the airports, whether it's in implementing customer success lead platforms, all of these are scalable processes, and we're looking to be able to have success in the long term and be able to really make Glove a really sustainable company. We don't want something that might, be a flash in a pan for a second and then not work.
Yeah, I mean, the beauty market is just so saturated. I mean, you have to expect that acquiring consumers is going to be expensive, and it's just that this is the most effective way to do it. And we're reaching the biggest audience that we can, and with the lowest cost that we've tried. I mean, the other alternatives are, I think, being
Substantially more expensive.
Yeah, substantially more expensive. And yes, in the short run, it is going to cost a lot. But startups they burn money. You have to expect that when you're starting a company. You know, I mean, they also got investments from a venture capital. You know, it was read in the case, and they can do the same thing again. But in the long run, yes, it will pay off.
I appreciate the unique approach to this case. So that was out of the box.
Thank you so much.
I like the minimalistic strategy as well. However, I think you need to adjust some of your model assumptions because the numbers that I got were from your projections. So your response to me didn't exactly meet my expectation. You said that you're not making money on the airport, but yet the numbers in the model was where I got the 500 to 1,000 units sales. But that aside, I think you have to account for the CRM integration as well and adjust that because that's a great idea. I think that's the right approach.
You're absolutely right. And I think going forward, if we work on this project more, we definitely will incorporate it into the model.
And good job on the presentation, discrete, relational. It's good education we're getting here from you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you deserve to be complimented on the way you answered the questions and were responsive to our comments.
Thank you.
Well, part of the problem of going last is, I agree. One of the things I love about the airport is you're using those travel packs. I mean, it was a point that you made that you already have, so it's not as if you're having to come up with another form of sampling, and you're able to handle that. So I thought that was a very good detail to support what was innovative and creative by approaching the airports. And seeing those kinds of stats were very, very helpful. I was curious on one of the slides, little inconsistency in certain parts, but when you get into your stats on millennials and why millennials are important, you then followed with consumers. I was wondering if the consumer figure of 73% could have been a millennial. So you keep it, in other words, you started me on millennials. That's what I thought you were going to target was really your core audience are millennials. And then I saw general consumers, and I thought, you could have just given me more of this specific core audience. And so just a little feedback on that, but very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.